Hey Frag fam, what is going on? I hope you guys are all doing well today. Elliot here. Welcome back to The Fragrance Well. Alright, so I did a video a couple videos back kind of highlighting the fact that spring is on its way back for some people. At that time, it was actually a lot warmer here than it is now. It has cooled off a little bit, but it's still very much spring-like weather. And I mentioned in that video that, some of you may be experiencing some spring weather now, and some of you are probably wishing for it. Regardless of whichever of those scenarios you are experiencing, we got some spring fragrances that I think you either could be looking forward to wearing or maybe would like to bring out right about now. So this is just a part 2 to that video. We're going to look at some more of my favorite spring fragrances within my collection. So I've got 10 more for today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. Before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you do like the content, and please hit that bell icon. Enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, so in no particular order, let's start off with one from Mancera. We have got Aoud Lemon Mint. Mancera Aoud Lemon Mint. So, one of the more popular fragrances from the house of Mancera, particularly here within the fragrance community. This is, as the name does suggest, lemony notes, minty notes. Mixing with that, you've got some sweet notes. You got a little bit of leather in there. Any oud you might pick up in this is going to be more of a cleaner oud with a little bit of a medicinal touch. The fragrance overall does have a little bit of a medicinal feel. So if that's something you don't like and you're not familiar with the scent, maybe stay away from it. But also, yeah, a little bit of a spicy touch, other aromatic notes. Overall smells relatively artificial, not the most realistic smelling thing, but a really good springtime fragrance that is rather unique. I still don't think I've come across anything that quite smells like Oud Lemon Mint, so I appreciate the uniqueness of the scent as well as the effectiveness of it. Powerful stuff here. Little goes a long way. Can be a little bit much for the summer months because of how sweet and rich it is or can be off of the skin. So that's why I think overall a little bit more of a springtime fragrance. And I think the vibe of the fragrance does kind of capture what spring is bringing in terms of a season where everything is getting out of those bitter cold seasons, if you have that as part of your normal weather pattern, and coming back to something that's a little bit more comfortable and the plant life appreciates it. The wildlife is changing to what we might see in the springtime as well. I think this fragrance kind of captures that vibe, even though it doesn't necessarily smell like springtime, in my opinion. So once again, from Mancera, this is Oud Lemon Mint. All right, next one's going to be coming from Guerlain, and this is Vetiver. Guerlain Vetiver. I need to get my nose on the parfum version of this. I literally just thought about that as I was holding this up. I feel ashamed that I have not done so yet, but that's neither here nor there. That being said, I still think the Eau de Toilette, which in terms of the original creation of it, this is an ancient fragrance, if you will, but one that still works today. What you're getting from this is very bright and sharp citrus, very much an older style masculine citrus that tends to be very, very aggressive and bright, almost cleaner like, but doesn't smell bad. Mixing with what I would call a slightly smoky but mostly kind of grassy, slightly floral vetiver. There's some nutmeg like spice in this as well, a little bit of a pepper. And this is very much a very classic gentleman's vetiver based fragrance. Many fragrances are inspired by what this is. Obviously, this is not the original creation in and of itself, so who knows what that original one really smelled like. But that being said, I love the way this stuff smells. My wife calls this fragrance clean shirt, clean white shirt. That is something that I think you definitely think you can attune to the spring season, if you will, especially if you are a fan of vetiver fragrances. I think this classic vetiver touch is still one that can work even today. So once again, from Guerlain, this is Vetiver. All right, next one is coming from Nishane. This one here is going to be Wulong Cha. Nishane Wulong Cha. So this is a tea fragrance, extremely popular fragrance from the house of Nishane. Probably one of the more popular tea fragrances in general on the market. For me, this is orange flavored tea. The orange notes, kind of rindy, but also a little bit citrusy and juicy, if you will. The tea in here is based on oolong tea, which I find to be relatively earthy I do think you get a little bit of that characteristic here, but there are other notes in here to kind of soften that, if you will. The fragrance here, very, very bright and invigorating, and also very, very calming. I think it definitely captures the essence of a good springtime fragrance as well as a summertime scent. Let's just call this a good warm weather scent, but you can certainly break it out in the spring as well. For me, this is a good tea fragrance that kind of stays focused on the tea element, and it lasts for a long time. I find that some tea fragrances that may have good performance, the tea aspect of it kind of goes away over time. In my opinion, that's not really the case with this one. You still kind of have an essence of a tea fragrance throughout the entire wearing, in my opinion. And also it kind of keeps its orange flavored brightness as well. So there's some other notes in here that kind of keep that sticking around for a long time, in my opinion. Great tea fragrance, one of my favorites for warmer weather in general. So once again, from Nishane, almost dropped the bottle. This is Wulong Cha. All right, so we got another one from Nishane, completely different from the last. This one here is Sultan Vetiver. Nishane Sultan Vetiver. Not only different from the last Nishane fragrance, completely different from Guerlain Vetiver. So I wanted to feature a couple styles of vetiver in here because I think vetiver goes very, very well with spring scents depending on how it's presented. So this one here, definitely more of the floral take on vetiver, in my opinion. The name I think is perfect. I think this is a vetiver scent for kings. If you are a true vetiver lover, you will appreciate something like this. But going along with this fragrance is very dry, powdery, floral notes, if that makes sense. Just a touch of sweetness in here, and also some very bright anise-like characteristics, in my opinion. So yeah, I absolutely love this scent, but this is definitely not for everyone. If you've heard about this scent or gotten your nose on it, you would agree with that. But I think this one definitely really captures the essence of spring because of its heavy floral nature. Uses a couple different types of vetiver in this. The vetiver is very much at the forefront of the scent, but again, I think it's mostly going to be that Java type vetiver, which is a lot more floral in nature, not really the smoky, ridiculously earthy or damp, grassy type of vetiver. If you haven't gotten your nose on this first, get your nose on it first. This is not blind buy worthy at all. I don't encourage blind buying anyway, but if there was ever a fragrance I was going to say, do not blind buy that, you probably are not going to like it. If you do, that is going to be something like Sultan Vetiver, because I think for most people, this is probably just going to smell like an old lady. But I love the scent, and I've even gotten complimented on this before. So once again, from Nishane, this is Sultan Vetiver. All right, next one's going to be coming from Cartier, and this is Declaration d'un Soir. Cartier Declaration d'un Soir. Oh yeah, so I'm going to spray this one real quick. Give me a second, because this is just great stuff there. So, you know, this is one that unfortunately is, to my knowledge, discontinued. You still might be able to find a bottle here and there, so I do apologize if you're interested in this one and you're having a hard time finding it. But in terms of being an excellent spring fragrance that has a classy touch to it, this is definitely one of them. You're getting a little bit of a green, stemmy, leafy rose here, so and a little bit of a lemony touch to it as well. It's kind of a bright, spicy touch to it. I do think there's some cumin-like notes to this as well, adding a little bit of a masculine edge and depth to it. And I think there's some very dry cedarwood, maybe sandalwood, probably more so cedarwood-like qualities to this fragrance. I think this fragrance is supremely classy, as is to be expected in my opinion from many Cartier fragrances. Great masculine touch on there, a great spicy, dry, green rose fragrance. And to me, this is the epitome of a great springtime rose scent. So that's why I wanted to include this one in the video. So once again, from Cartier, this is Declaration d'un Soir. Okay, moving on. Next one's coming from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and this is going to be Aqua Cologne Forte. Maison Francis Kurkdjian Aqua Cologne Forte. So the color of the bottle already kind of screams when is a good time to wear this fragrance in my opinion. Spring is definitely that time, although I think overall a good warm weather scent in general. So this is another tea fragrance, definitely presenting tea notes different from Wulong Cha, so that's why I wanted to feature it. This is more of a matcha green tea, which is a completely different smell from anything like oolong or black tea, anything of that nature. But this is still an overall brighter tea fragrance, lime notes, fennel adding a vegetal green characteristic, and a good amount of musk in this scent as well, creating this soft, calming nature. I love the way this stuff smells. I think this is a great fragrance to kind of look forward to, if you will, if you're looking forward to bringing back some of your brighter scents after getting done with the winter fragrances and the winter temperatures. This fragrance here is like one of the first things that kind of pops into my mind in terms of, all right, I've had my fun with the cold stuff. Now I want to bring back the warm weather stuff. This is just one of those top ones for me. Great tea fragrance. If you haven't gotten your nose on this, in my opinion, this is one of the best modern releases from Mason Francis Kurkdjian for the warmer months, in my opinion. So once again, from Mason Francis Kurkdjian, this is Aqua Cologne Forte. All right, guys, we got one from Amouage. This one here is going to be Beach Hut Man. Amouage Beach Hut Man. It's time for a spring fragrance that puts some hair on your chest. This is a super aggressive, masculine fragrance, in my opinion, featuring spicy mint-like notes, some resins. I think there's notes like olibanum and myrrh listed in here. So resinous, kind of dry, a little bit of a woody feel. I think this stuff really captures the essence of a good spring fragrance with that minty edge that it has. And in my opinion, it kind of behaves like an aromatic fougere, but it doesn't overall smell like one, but you kind of can use it in the same way, if that makes sense. And to me, this is kind of a hair on your chest kind of fragrance because it is aggressive. A little goes a very long way with this scent. I would say for most daily wears, if you're not trying to like be outdoors and you're kind of just going about your daily business, this may be a 2-3 spray max fragrance. If you're outdoors, a little bit more active, you can go a little bit higher, but that's part of the reason why this fragrance almost looks brand new. Because I've worn it a few times, quite a few times actually, but I never spray this more than I think the most I've sprayed it is 4. Most of the time, it's only 2. So, I mean, this is one that can kind of last a long time if you use it in that way. Now, if you want to spray more, that's on you. But yeah, this is a great spicy mint fragrance in general, and I think it is perfect for the springtime weather because most people do think this could be a little too heavy for the summer months. So, that's why I think it's a good spring fragrance. Once again, from Amouage, this one here is Beach Hut Man. All right, guys, next one's coming from Novitus Parfums. We've got Eau Debonaire. Novitus Parfums Eau Debonaire. Sent creatively directed by Darian Hill, Bowtie the Fragrance Guy. And I think he and, I forget the perfumer on this one, but I'll have it listed in the B-roll, did a great job with this scent. This is a fragrance that I can appreciate because, first of all, great springtime scent because it kind of highlights florals over everything else. Tuberose is in here. I think jasmine is in here. I'm not the biggest fan of tuberose if it's too strong. I really do like jasmine. What I appreciate about this scent is the tuberose is nicely balanced in this fragrance. It doesn't just take over it. There's also a good amount of citrus in this, a little bit of a spicy, citrusy feel with the florals, and also a good amount of lavender in here, kind of adding an aromatic herbaceousness to the scent. I think there's a good amount of musk in here, probably some woods as well, and just the right amount of sweetness potentially to just kind of balance the scent out. But yeah, the main thing you're going to get on your nose from this is the lavender, the citrus, and the jasmine and tuberose, in my opinion. So a little bit of a white floral fragrance, but I think this stuff smells excellent. I think it is perfect for the spring months. It really smells like a fragrance that just goes along with that time of year. It's a good unisex fragrance too. This one is kind of straight up and down the middle, in my opinion, which I do believe that was the aim for this fragrance. Men and women alike can rock this and it can have the same pleasant wearing experience either way. Once again, from Novitus Parfums, this is Eau Debonaire. All right, we got another one coming from Amouage. This is Lyric Man. Amouage Lyric Man. So, completely different from the last Amouage. This is a rose-centered fragrance, completely different from Declaration d'un Soir. That was kind of spicy green rose. To me, this is more a masculine, very jammy rose, although there is a little bit of a green edge kind of in there as well. It's mixing with notes of lime. There's a little bit of spice in this as well. This one overall, I do find to be significantly sweeter, even though the fragrance in and of itself is not inherently sweet, but it's significantly sweeter than Declaration d'un Soir. And there is a much heavier presence of incense and resins and dry woodiness. There's a little bit of a pine woody feel to this scent overall. I absolutely love this stuff. Listen, Lyric Man is one that is not a newer fragrance from Amouage. It's much older scent. I don't know if this ever got a ton of play in terms of, FragCom, particularly before I started becoming a member of FragCom. But it does seem like this one still kind of makes its rounds every now and then. Some people still get their nose on it, in the current day, and, they either love it or hate it. Because this fragrance here is not for everyone. It is much of a statement-making fragrance similar to Beach Hut Man, but it definitely captures the essence of a great spring fragrance. The rose here is definitely at the forefront. It is the star of this scent, and it is still presented in a way that I do think represents the spring season over every other season. So great springtime rose fragrance here, and get your nose on it if you haven't already. I think this is one of those unsung ones from Amouage. So once again, from Amouage, this here is Lyric Man. All right, and last but certainly not least, from Parfums de Marly, this is Greenley. Parfums de Marly, Greenley. So, another one where the bottle color kind of helps to represent when might be the best time to use this fragrance. This one here overall smells like green apple shampoo to me, which off rip, that may not necessarily sound like that's synonymous with spring. That can be synonymous with a number of things. But yeah, sour green apple shampoo kind of smell, but there is a green woodiness in here, softened up a bit with a little bit of musk as well. And I think the fragrance smells absolutely fantastic. This is a great one for the spring months. You could use it in summer too. Some might find that maybe Sedley is like the better option for summer in particular. But that being said, this is just a great warm weather option from the house of Parfums de Marly. And in my opinion, that sour green apple woodiness that this fragrance has, it just blends so nicely with spring type air, if that makes any sense. Not really too much of a floral touch to this, but so, from that attitude, it doesn't make me think of spring inherently, but some fragrances just wear well in spring weather, and that's kind of what this one is for me. And also, long-lasting, fresher scent here. If you're looking for something that lasts all day long to wear in the springtime, this is one of those ones that could give you that kind of performance if that's what you need. So once again, from Parfums de Marly, this here is Greenley. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of some of these offerings for spring. Do you agree that they're great springtime scents, or would you rather use them in other times? And of course, put down in the comments below whether you're looking forward to spring or are already in some spring weather, what some of your favorite spring fragrances are. I would love to see what you guys have to say. Thanks again for watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you all. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.